What if everything you thought you knew about your marriage was a lie? The warm sunlight streaming through resort windows. Happy couples planning their golden years together. A retirement seminar that should have been the beginning of their next chapter instead became the moment one woman's world started crumbling beneath her feet. This is the story of Sarah and Jack, a couple who seemed to have it all. A loving marriage, a comfortable retirement, a future filled with promise. But sometimes, the deepest betrayals hide in plain sight. One mysterious envelope, a name she'd never heard before. Secret phone calls that would shatter decades of trust. By the end of this weekend retreat, Sarah would uncover a web of deception so intricate, it would make her question every moment of her married life. Before we dive into this shocking true story, make sure you're subscribed to True Crime Watch HD and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss a single moment of what's about to unfold. The morning started like any other at the lakeside resort. Sarah adjusted her cardigan, taking in the scene before her, rows of couples chattering excitedly about their retirement plans. Her husband Jack sat beside her, his silver-framed glasses catching the sunlight as he reviewed the day's schedule. On the surface, they looked just like any other couple there. Successful, comfortable, secure in their relationship. But there was something off about Jack that day. Something in the way his eyes kept darting around the room. The way he seemed distracted, his usual steady presence somehow unsettled. Little did Sarah know, she was about to witness the first crack in the perfect facade of her marriage. A crack that would soon split wide open, revealing secrets that had been buried for years. During the morning session, while Sarah diligently took notes about financial planning, Jack's phone buzzed. It was a small moment, the kind most wives wouldn't think twice about. But it was the way he tilted the screen away from her view, the quick, furtive movements of his fingers as he typed a response. These tiny details would later take on a whole new meaning. If you're enjoying this story so far, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to True Crime Watch HD. Trust me, what happens next will leave you speechless. That's when she appeared, a woman in a tailored suit, moving with purpose across the seminar hall. Her dark hair framed her face as she caught Jack's eye and waved. What happened in the next few minutes would plant the first seeds of doubt in Sarah's mind. "Be right back," Jack muttered, leaving Sarah with nothing but a quick pat on the shoulder. The casual gesture felt hollow as she watched him step aside with the mysterious woman, their heads bent close together in hushed conversation. But it wasn't their whispered exchange that would haunt Sarah later. It was what happened next. The woman reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope, thin, white, innocent looking. Yet something in the way Jack took it, the careful way he folded it into his jacket pocket, there was an urgency there. A secret wrapped in paper. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked when he returned, fighting to keep her voice casual. His response came too quickly, too smoothly. "Yeah, fine. Just someone I used to work with." But after 30 years of marriage, Sarah knew Jack's tells. The slight pause before speaking. The way his eyes wouldn't quite meet hers. Small details that would soon take on massive significance. Before we continue with what Sarah discovered next, make sure you're subscribed to True Crime Watch HD. Our channel brings you the most shocking true crime stories, thoroughly researched and carefully presented. Hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss what's coming. Later that evening, in the quiet of their resort room, Sarah faced a choice that would change everything. Jack was in the shower, steam seeping under the bathroom door, and his jacket hung nearby, the mysterious envelope still tucked inside its pocket. Every instinct told her to respect his privacy. After all, trust had been the foundation of their marriage for 3 decades. But sometimes a gut feeling demands attention. With trembling fingers, Sarah reached for the jacket. The envelope was right where she'd seen him put it. Inside, she found something that made her blood run cold. A series of numbers, written in unfamiliar handwriting, and below them, a name, Amanda Rivers. Amanda Rivers. 3 syllables that would unlock a door to a world Sarah never knew existed. A world where her husband wasn't who she thought he was at all. And this was just the beginning. Remember what happened at breakfast earlier that day? Those strange phone calls Jack had been making? Everything was about to connect in ways that would shock not just Sarah, but everyone involved in this case. That night, as Jack slept peacefully beside her, Sarah lay awake, her mind racing. Who was Amanda Rivers? What did those numbers mean? And why did her husband, the man she thought she knew better than anyone in the world, feel the need to hide this from her? If you're as invested in this story as our thousands of other viewers, take a moment to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to True Crime Watch HD. The revelations that come next are even more shocking than what you've heard so far. The next morning brought new clues and new reasons for Sarah to worry. As she stood on their hotel room balcony, coffee growing cold in her hands, she overheard something that made her question everything. The sound drifted through the balcony door, Jack's laughter. But it wasn't his usual hearty chuckle. This was different, softer, more intimate. The kind of laugh reserved for private moments. Sarah stood frozen, her coffee forgotten, as she listened to her husband's murmured phone conversation. When he finally joined her on the balcony, his phone tucked away, he acted as if nothing had happened. But everything had changed. The question hung in the air between them. Who had been on the other end of that call? Who were you talking to just now? Sarah asked, trying to keep her voice light. His response was practiced, almost too perfect. Oh, just an old colleague. He wanted some advice about a consulting project. The word echoed in Sarah's mind. Because she knew with absolute certainty, that the laugh she'd heard wasn't meant for any he. If you're following this story closely, you'll want to subscribe to True Crime Watch HD right now. Our dedicated research team uncovers details in these cases that you won't find anywhere else. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of true crime enthusiasts. But it was during that morning's seminar that things took an even darker turn. The topic? Financial fraud in retirement. As the speaker, a former forensic accountant, shared stories of hidden debts and secret accounts, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She watched Jack from the corner of her eye. His usual confident posture was gone, replaced by something else: tension. Every time the speaker mentioned red flags or warning signs, Jack's jaw would tighten just slightly. His phone lay face down on the table, buzzing occasionally with silent notifications he tried to ignore. That's when Sarah did something unprecedented. Something that would lead her down a path of discovery she could never have imagined. During the Q&A session, she raised her hand and asked a very specific question about identifying discrepancies in financial records. The look on Jack's face in that moment. It was brief, just a flicker, but it told her everything she needed to know. There was fear in his eyes. What Sarah would discover next would shake her to her core. The name Amanda Rivers wasn't just a mystery. It was the key to uncovering a decades-long deception that went far beyond a simple affair. It would lead her to offshore accounts, false identities, and a criminal conspiracy that had been hiding in plain sight for years. But first, she needed help. And she found it in the most unexpected place, the resort's library, where a chance conversation with another seminar attendee named Maggie would change everything. Maggie's story about her own husband's secret gambling addiction might have seemed like casual conversation to anyone else. But to Sarah, it was like a key turning in a lock. Because what Maggie said next would give her the courage to dig deeper into Jack's secrets. It's shocking how little you can truly know about someone, even after years together, Maggie had said. She had no idea how those words would echo in Sarah's mind as she uncovered the truth about Amanda Rivers and the real reason for this retirement seminar. Before we continue with what Sarah discovered next, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to True Crime Watch HD. The revelation coming up explains why this case shook an entire community and led to a nationwide investigation. What happened next would prove that sometimes, the most devastating truths come from the most unlikely sources. After her conversation with Maggie, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the edge of something much bigger than a simple secret. That afternoon, while Jack was occupied in another seminar session, Sarah did something she never thought she'd do. She went to the resort's business center and opened a browser window. With trembling fingers, she typed in the name that had been haunting her, Amanda Rivers. What she found made her blood run cold. Amanda Rivers wasn't just a name on a piece of paper. She was a ghost, a woman who had supposedly died 15 years ago in a boating accident off the coast of Florida. A woman whose body was never found. A woman whose life insurance policy had paid out $2.5 million. And the beneficiary? A corporation registered in the Cayman Islands, with a string of numbers that matched exactly what Sarah had seen on that slip of paper in Jack's envelope. If you're as shocked as our viewers typically are at this point, make sure you're subscribed to True Crime Watch HD. We bring you the most meticulously researched true crime stories, with details you won't find anywhere else. But Sarah's discovery was just the tip of the iceberg. As she dug deeper, the pieces started falling into place. The mysterious woman at the seminar who had handed Jack the envelope? She wasn't just any financial advisor. She was Catherine Brooks, a former SEC investigator turned private investigator. And this retirement seminar? It wasn't what it appeared to be at all. Every couple in attendance had something in common. Something that would soon tear their lives apart. You see, Jack hadn't brought them here to plan their retirement. They were here because this resort was the last known location where Amanda Rivers had been seen alive. And Catherine Brooks had spent the last decade tracking down a sophisticated insurance fraud ring that had left a trail of deceased beneficiaries across 3 continents. Sarah's hands shook as she scrolled through article after article. The pattern was always the same: a tragic accident, a body never found, a multi-million-dollar insurance payout to an offshore account. And behind each case, a web of shell companies and false identities that led nowhere. But what broke Sarah's heart wasn't just the deception. It was remembering all those late nights Jack had claimed to be working late. All those business trips that had taken him to remote coastal locations. All those mysterious phone calls that he'd taken in private. Her entire marriage had been built on a foundation of lies. And now, sitting in that sterile business center, surrounded by other couples enjoying what they thought was a simple retirement seminar, Sarah had to make a choice. Before we reveal what Sarah did next, take a moment to subscribe to True Crime Watch HD. The conclusion to this story involves an FBI sting operation, a dramatic confrontation, and a revelation that would stun everyone involved. As Sarah walked back to their room, her mind racing with everything she discovered, she noticed something else. Jack wasn't in his seminar session as he'd claimed. Instead, he was by the lake, having what appeared to be an intense conversation with the woman who had given him the envelope. But this time, Sarah knew exactly what she was watching, and exactly what she needed to do next. Sarah stood at her hotel room window, watching Jack and Catherine Brooks by the lake. Their body language told a story of urgency, of plans unraveling. And in that moment, Sarah made the decision that would change everything. She pulled out her phone and dialed the FBI tip line number she'd found during her research. Her voice barely trembled as she spoke. "I have information about Amanda Rivers and an insurance fraud ring." What Sarah didn't know was that her call wasn't the first. The FBI had been watching this retirement seminar very closely. In fact, they had agents placed throughout the resort, posing as other couples. The entire weekend had been an elaborate sting operation, with Catherine Brooks working as their inside informant. If you're riveted by this story, hit that subscribe button right now. That evening, as couples gathered in the resort's grand ballroom for what they thought was a retirement planning dinner, everything came to a head. Jack sat beside Sarah, seemingly calm, unaware that she knew everything. Unaware that the room was filled with federal agents. Unaware that Amanda Rivers herself was about to make an appearance. The doors opened, and she walked in, very much alive, her dark hair now streaked with gray, but unmistakably the woman from the insurance claim photos. Jack's face went pale. His hand, reaching for his water glass, froze mid-air. In the chaos that followed, several things happened at once. Federal agents moved in, identifying themselves. Jack lunged for the exit, only to be blocked by more agents. And Sarah finally understood the full scope of what she'd uncovered. The insurance fraud ring had been operating for over 20 years. Jack wasn't just a participant. He was one of its architects. The deceased individuals, like Amanda Rivers, were actually participants who would fake their deaths, collect the insurance money, and then move to another country under new identities. The organization had stolen over $50 million from insurance companies across the globe. But what broke Sarah's heart most wasn't the criminal enterprise. It was discovering that her marriage, all 30 years of it, had been part of Jack's cover story. A way to appear respectable, normal, above suspicion. The retirement seminar? It was a trap set by the FBI to gather all the major players in one location. Catherine Brooks, the former SEC investigator, had been working undercover for months, feeding information to the organization about supposed weaknesses in insurance company protocols. In the end, the FBI arrested 13 people that night, including Jack. The envelope that had started Sarah's journey of discovery contained account numbers for the latest insurance scam they'd been planning, one that would never be carried out. Today, Jack is serving 25 years in federal prison. The insurance fraud ring has been dismantled. And Sarah has become an advocate for fraud awareness, sharing her story to help other people recognize the signs she missed for so many years. That envelope in his pocket didn't just destroy their marriage. It exposed a criminal enterprise that had operated in the shadows for decades. And it all unraveled because one woman decided to trust her instincts and ask questions about a mysterious name on a piece of paper. If you found this story as incredible as we did, make sure to subscribe to True Crime Watch HD and hit that notification bell. We bring you new true crime stories every week, meticulously researched and dramatically presented. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on this case, and don't forget to like and share this video. This has been True Crime Watch HD. Remember, sometimes the biggest deceptions hide in plain sight.